Brought to you by Geritol, the high-potency vitamin iron-rich tonic in liquid or tablets to help you feel stronger. And now, let's all play What's My Line? And now, live from New York, let's meet our What's My Line panel. First, the delightful star of stage and television, Miss Arlene Francis.
And now, a wildly talented comedian who opens in Philadelphia November 12th at a place called Scioli's. Everybody look out. Mr. Buddy Hackett.
And now, a very nice lady who is a columnist on the New York Journal American. And she looks very staid here, but she's a pretty wild girl. Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left, a very charming gentleman who's just come up from the South and is about to go back to Fort Lauderdale and Miami to lecture to professors. See, it's Bennett Cerf. Bennett Cerf, I'm sorry.
I have a special pleasure in introducing our panel moderator tonight because he's just been passing out cigars. He's the father of a newly born little baby, and he's our nomination for Father of the Year, John Charles Daly.
Well, all those wonderful nurses at the Harkness Pavilion up at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital assured me that Mrs. Daly and John Warren could look in tonight. And John Warren is now exactly 6 days and 5 minutes old, so it's time he learned something about television, I think. And to celebrate this happy event, panel, I'm going to tell you now that we're going to depart from our usual custom and allow you to put on your blindfolds to meet our first challenger, which gives you some idea of what fun we're going to have in the next half hour. Things will be new and different around here. And we'll also have a famous mystery challenger before our panel a little bit later in the program. And we'll meet our first challenger after this word. Right now, panel, are those blindfolds all in place? In that event, will our first challenger enter and sign in, please?
No doubt trying to throw me off.
Now, may I ask if you're familiar with our scorekeeping system? In that event, we'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. And now, panel, we can tell you that our guest is salaried and deals in a service. And let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Well, there was so much sound coming in, as Buddy said. Is there more than one person present as a contestant?
Yep.
Have your names or pictures been in the paper recently?
Yep.
Would they be in the theatrical section of the papers?
Yep.
Are you appearing in New York?
Yep.
Are you appearing in a play in New York?
Yep.
Are you four?
Yep.
Are you the four funniest men that have ever crossed the water to America?
Yep.
You are the most dazzling performers I have ever seen, and I adore you, if you are the four men from beyond the fringe.
Let's try to get them.
We didn't go very long for that one, did we? And now, if I may have the pleasure, next to me, Alan Bennett, and behind Alan, I believe, is Mr. Cook, right? Mr. Cook and Mr. Moore, Dudley Moore, and then I think we have Dr. Jonathan Miller. Right, Doctor? And these are indeed, I think, the four funniest people that we have had the joy of receiving in New York. I don't think I've ever seen such a collection of magnificent notices on an opening in New York in the last few years. I know you haven't, Arlene.
It's one of those cases where you have to be there to see how really hilarious these four gentlemen are. I would like very much to have Dr. Jonathan Miller now go into his Shakespeare routine and die.
Well, that's the wonderful thing. Dr. Miller is a doctor of medicine and still a practicing doctor, specializes in neurology and...
Well, I will happen eventually.
When you get back, and I believe... if memory serves me right, that you taught at Magdalen and at Exeter, at Oxford. And I think in Peter's case, you have been in the theater, have you not?
Yes, I've written for it.
Written for the theater a good deal. And then Dudley Moore is a musician.
Yes.
And out of these four wonderful people have come a great and happy occasion for these troubled times. Pure, wonderful laughter on topical subjects, brilliant imagination, and great wit. I'm sorry we didn't confuse those characters over there.
We were being rather cunning, actually. I've never been tried before to actually say, yep. I thought that absolutely fooled everybody.
Have you been on What's My Line in England?
No, but we've seen it.
They wouldn't get you so fast over there, you see.
Well, Doctor, as long as you're here, could you take a look at my throat over here?
Now, actually, I must say this, buddy. I think that Dr. Miller would be great for you because I think you're going to specialize in psychiatry, are you not, Doctor?
I need a connection. Me being an upholsterer, I can take care of his couch. I know.
Jonathan, while you're over here, I understand there's another company filling in for you in London. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you're playing in two cities at the same time?
Are they also professional men?
Oh, really?
Are they professional men as you are, doctors and so
No,
forth?
they're not. I don't know what they are.
Are they
They're
actors?
stuck in it. They're stuck in it, yes. They're prisoners, professional prisoners.
Well, Alan, Peter, Jonathan, and Dudley, thank you very much. I know that this is a night off for you, and it's good of you to have given us a big chunk of it to appear on What's My Line. We hope Beyond the Fringe keeps you with us for a long, long time, because you're great neighbors and visitors and cousins.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you there. Thanks. Well, now let's meet our next challenger. Will you enter and sign in, please? Corinne Williams, right? Is it Miss or Mrs. Williams?
I'm Mrs. I'm a widow.
Mrs. Williams, you're a widow. We're sorry to hear that. Where are you from?
Fort Worth, Texas.
Fort Worth, Texas. Nice to have a Texan with us. Mrs. Williams, may I present our panel? Now, would you join me over here, please? Mrs. Williams, do you know our scorekeeping system?
Yes.
All right. In that event, we'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. Panel, we can tell you that Mrs. Williams is self-employed, deals in a service, and let's begin the general questioning with Bennett, Cerf.
Mrs. Williams, in Fort Worth is American Airlines, home base in the school for stewardesses. May I assume you have nothing whatever to do with that airline and the school?
May I assume that I have nothing to do means, yes, you may assume.
I may assume that. Do you perform your service in the city of Fort Worth? Or in or thereabouts?
I could, but I haven't.
I would say that's a fair answer, Bennett, so we'll give you a qualified yes.
Qualified yes. Is the service that you perform done for human beings, Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Is it done for adults?
Yes.
For both men and women?
Yes.
When you perform this service, do you come into physical contact with these people?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Mrs. Williams, you look very glamorous tonight. Is that to lead us astray a little bit? Is it unlikely that we would think of you looking the way you do now for the job that you hold?
Miss Francis, do you mean by clothing or what?
Well, I mean, in the...
Well, I think actually what Arlene is asking, Mrs. Williams, is that would you be wearing a dinner dress and a, what is it they call, not a shawl, but a...
Stole.
Stole,
No.
and we'd be wearing diamonds. And...
You would
You
not.
look very glamorous, too.
Do you work indoors?
Did you ask, would you be wearing what you are when you do your work? Was that your question?
Are you trying to fix it for me to have a no, John? You just a father?
Arlene just wanted to know if that was misleading.
That's exactly right. Thank you, Dorothy. I meant, is it possible that Mrs. Williams' looks at this moment would mislead us a little bit about the job that she
Well, yes,
does?
we would have to agree.
Yes. Is it a job that men do as well as women, Mrs.
Yes.
Williams? Do you work indoors?
At times.
Is a certain amount of dexterity needed in your work?
Yes.
Is a certain amount of strength needed in your work?
Yes.
Do people watch you when you perform your
Yes.
service? Would it be in the realm of entertainment in any way?
Yes.
Would you have anything to do with the performing arts?
Arts?
The performing arts. I think in the context of performing arts, we would have to say no.
No.
That's right. 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Hackett.
Then the performing that you do, would that come in the realm of sports?
Yes. Yes.
Does this take some kind of instrument or apparatus, and do you use an instrument or apparatus to help you in your performance of this?
I wouldn't call it an
Well,
instrument.
small...
Well, suppose it was a rope, I would mean it that way.
In case you wanted to hang yourself.
No.
No.
Well, this is a difficult issue here because I assume that what you're asking here is there some contrivance or tool or...
Anything
aid?
outside of your God-given assets. You do, yeah. Now, this other substance that you use, you son of a gun, could that be... Oh, excuse me, Joey. Would that be a pliable object?
Say that again, please.
Would it be a pliable object? That
By
you
which
use?
you mean something that the hands could
Yeah,
bend?
as opposed to a rigid object.
No.
It is not
No,
pliable.
I don't think we can describe the accoutrements necessary as pliable.
Oh, all
Kilgallen.
right.
Now, you say you work indoors and out
Yes, ma'am.
sometimes?
Yes.
Do you have anything to do with the sport that can be played indoors and
Yes.
out? Is a ball used in connection with the sport?
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mrs. Williams, there's a lot of livestock down in Fort Worth. Are there any live animals participate at any time in the sport in which you also
Yes.
participate? Would there be horses?
Sometimes.
Would you possibly ever appear in a rodeo?
I have.
Do you do something with the horses that are not quite tame?
Yes.
Will you,
Partly.
a bareback rider or somebody who
not a
trains
bareback rider.
wild horses? Or?
No, I was going to say, I think, Bennett, you have
Buster,
identified
Bronco
the basic occupation, perhaps, but let's see if you can, for fun, figure out what it is that Mrs. Williams does.
It's something to do with horses.
Yeah.
Rodeo. You don't ride wild. You don't wild.
I'm not a bareback.
Ride broncos.
I beg your pardon, Bennett.
Ride.
Wild boat
Ride.
Yeah.
Ride.
Not only that, but the confusion and the floppensteimer, too, yes, indeed. And on Wednesdays, we do it with our head standing on our hands, that's right.
So you're not one of these girls who stands in one of these enclosures, and as the horse breaks out, you ride it and bucking bronco.
Question. That's
Riding
what I
bucking
have.
bronco.
What I do, yes.
Bronco
That's
buster.
it. Actually, we're going to throw all the guys. I think Bennett has to be given credit. Actually, bronc busting is what you were thinking of.
That's a pliable object. The horse is
The
pliable.
saddle isn't. You asked me about the prop.
Yes.
They don't give.
Saddle's a little bit.
And they gave it
Give
back.
it all, do they?
But you're not letting me finish. It's bronc buster and also steer wrestler. Mrs. Williams does.
I'm the only lady steer wrestler
Only
in the world.
steer.
You twist their necks on the ground and
Professional
get
in the
them
Rodeo
down.
Cowboys Association.
They gave me so much to eat in Baton Rouge, I haven't recovered yet.
And actually, Mrs. Williams comes to us from the famous Axar Bend. You know, in Omaha, where they have a rodeo, and then it finishes up in a great ball, which is the great
I was
social...
at Calgary this year in Cheyenne and quite a few major rodeos, Phoenix.
Well, this is a most interesting occupation for a lovely young lady, and thank you for sharing it with us, and what's my luck. Nice to see you. We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, here is a word from our sponsor. And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which our panel, you all know, is blindfolded. Hey, buddy, front and center. Are those blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, they are.
Good. Will you enter mystery challenger and sign in, please? As you know, panel, in case of the mystery guest, a different form of questioning. We begin with one question at a time, and we move clockwise, and I think we ought to begin with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Do you sing professionally?
Yes.
Are you appearing in New York? What?
Mr. Cerf.
Oh, excuse me. I was a little anxious.
Have you ever sung in a show, the music of which was composed by Fritz Lowe?
Yes.
Miss Francis?
Are you appearing in a show at the present time, a musical?
No.
One down and 9 to go, Mr. Hackett.
Did you close last night in New York?
No, I didn't.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss
Not too
Kilgallen.
bad.
Did you ever live in Texas?
No, I haven't.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Was the show in which you appeared Camelot? No.
Yeah.
You're not Robert Goulet, are you?
No.
Yes, I am, Bennett.
Is it a resident?
Yes.
Is it? Yeah.
I was so angry that you got it so quickly. I had
Oh,
to
I
say
thought
no.
you said no.
I know.
We did. That's all right.
His next guest would have been Richard Burton.
Now, it's nice, I must say, and I think it's a distinguished moment for all of us to savor. Sir Lancelot is with us tonight.
Yes, indeed. And delicious,
I don't know.
too.
I don't know how many of you at home or here in the theater had the opportunity or will have the opportunity. It's too bad you'd miss Robert now to see Camelot, but it was a joy to the eye and a joy to the ear and a thoroughly delightful and wonderful evening at the theater. One of the things it did was to launch a young man of very fine talents and artistry on what I know is going to be a long and successful career, and I'm talking about you, Robert. You have a wonderful voice and a great presence, I think, on the stage, too.
I wonder if Mr. Goulet remembers that opening night at the O'Keefe Theater in Toronto when it ran till about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, it did not. It closed at 11:45. I certainly do remember it.
Well, and you're going into the Persian room here in the plaza this week.
Wednesday evening.
Is that the first time that...
First time I've done any club work. I was in Washington for the last 2 weeks. I opened up the showroom and sort of broke in the act, or the presentation. And it was rather frightening at first, but I think I'm going to enjoy it.
Well, that's what I wanted to get at, Bob, because, you know, you've appeared before tens of thousands of people on the stage, but doing this different thing is
It's so different
challenge.
being on the stage, because in a club it seems that you must be yourself and prove yourself. On the stage, somehow you can hide behind somebody else, Julie Andrews' skirts or Richard Burton's or whomever you want.
Well, I know that this new career is going to be successful as the one which launched so well in Camelot. And thanks a lot for coming to join us in What's My Line. Good to see you. Can't do anything else but tell you panel that you have done magnificently so far tonight, and we'll have another contestant after this word from our alternate sponsor. And now to meet a final contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? Jack. Luzzatto. That's it. Where are you from, sir?
The Bronx.
From the Bronx. That makes you a neighbor from New York, so I know these folks are all familiar to you. May I present the panel? Will you join me over here, please? You know how we keep score, sir?
I do.
Good. In that event, we'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. We can tell you that Mr. Luzzatto is salaried, deals in a service, but there is also what we would call a product, I think, very closely identified. We begin with Mr. Hackett.
God bless you. That's not a question.
God bless you. That was Bennett Cerf sneezing. The house did not fall in.
Thank you very much.
The service that you perform, does it reach many people?
I hope so.
Is it something that you make?
Yes.
This product that you make, is this owned by you?
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Is the product that you make
Is the product that you make owned by you?
Before I sell it.
Before you sell it?
Yes.
Does it have a trade name?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, now, Mr. Luzzatto, to get to this product, could I hold it in my hand?
Yes.
If I walk down Fifth Avenue, would it be conspicuous?
Not unless you made it so.
No, I would think it would not be conspicuous. 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Luzzatto, might this product be worn by somebody?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Is the product equally useful for both men and women?
Yes.
Is it a product that we find in the home?
Yes.
Would it be found in a special room of the home more than another?
No. 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Hackett.
Is this something to eat?
Something to eat? No.
Yeah.
5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
For a goat?
A goat might, yes, but that is such a varied diet, it would take everything in. Dorothy?
Well, now, since this is found anywhere in the home, could it be found in an office or outside the home, too?
Yes.
Does it in any way make people better off or happier?
That's a moot point.
It could be considered, I think, when the purpose is to use it so, to make people happier.
But you have to have a pretty special purpose, I gather.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think, actually, we're going to run out of time, and I want a second to get into it. Mr. Luzzatto makes, constructs, designs, develops crossword puzzles, which is why I say the matter of speaking it was And the puzzles have appeared. I'm sure we've all done them because they appear in the Times, the Herald Tribune, magazines, books. You eat them.
Yeah.
Well, now there we are. We gave a wrong answer without meaning to.
You do those Sunday Times ones, Mr. Luzzatto?
Sometimes.
Sunday Times magazine?
Yes.
My wife
I
spends
even made
hours
one
on
for your wife once.
Did you?
Well, now I can just say one thing about those that you make for the Sunday Times. They're tough, sir.
They're supposed to be.
Thanks very much for being our guest on What's My
you.
Line. Well, very well tonight, panel. On a happy note, it is indeed. I say good night, Miss Francis.
Good night, dear John. Good night, buddy. Happy Philadelphia.
Thank you very much. Good night, guys.
Good night, buddy. Come again. Good night, Bennett.
John, I hope you'll have to give us a cigar once a year for the next 10 years.
Thank you.
Good night, John.
Thank you, Bennett. I hope so, too. And if I may, good night, Virginia and John Warren. And thanks for being with us on What's My Line.
What's My Line? a CBS Television Network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Todman. This is Johnny Olson speaking.